Natural physics is a concept astrophysicist LeRoy developed that explains in down-to-earth scenarios how the principles of physics could have come about from observing nature. Each episode begins with a scenario, followed by an example to illustrate the application of these principles in futuristic research at the frontiers of science, such as LeRoy's astrophysics doctoral research, and then concludes with an exploration of how these same principles could have very well been used by ancient cultures and civilizations. Mathematics is naturally encountered and incorporated as the exciting and fun tool of science that it is. Science is the window into our amazing world of nature, and mathematics is the tool to open that window. Natural physics encompasses current, futuristic, and ancient physics, and ties them together by the principles of physics that are common threads running throughout each.
School year, a special program for teachers became available at JPL, summer job for teachers at JPL. And okay. What I got to do for that summer was to assist with research of nebula outside of our galaxy, millions and millions of light years away. You know what a light year is? A light year, remember I was saying that light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second? Well, a light year, that's the distance that a beam of light can travel in 1 year. You know how far that is? Think about it. 300,000 kilometers per second. So how many seconds are there in a year? You got to multiply, there's 365 days in a year. You got to multiply that by 24, because there's 24 hours in a day. You got to multiply that by 8, or 24 hours, you got to multiply that by 60, because there's 60 minutes in an hour. And then you got to multiply that by 60, because there's 60 seconds in a minute. So 1 light year is 385,000 times 365 times 24 times 60 times 60. That's a huge number. It's like 1 trillion or so kilometers. Okay? So these nebula, scientists believe that this is where stars are born. So see, stars aren't only born in Hollywood. My wife is from Hollywood, California, actually. That's where she was born. But it's believed that stars are created in these very dense areas of gas in outer space. And they're beautiful. So that's what I did for the summer. And I tell you what, everybody, I was so excited. I was at JPL. I was helping astrophysicists. Analyze data. You saw the data from Galileo that I had passed around. I was helping these scientists analyze data from these objects that are outside of our galaxy. Oh, I was so excited. I was the first in the lab in the morning and the last to leave at night. I was so excited. And it wasn't because I was sleeping there. I had an apartment by then. But me doing that, it helped me to get what happened next. By the end of the summer, so luckily for me, a full-time position became available on the Galileo project. Full-time scientist, not a student, a full-time scientist. I had filled my dream. I had achieved my dream. I wish my parents could have seen it, but I know that they were there. I know that they were there with me. And as I talked about before, there was 11 instruments on board Galileo, and the 2 that I was involved with was the plasma wave instrument and the plasma instrument. Okay. Now, as I also talked about in my previous workshop, Galileo was taken up on board the Space Shuttle Atlantis in the cargo bay. Remember, an object has to travel at 11.2 kilometers per second to escape the gravity of the Earth. Well, the space shuttle that took Galileo up, 11.2 kilometers per second. Once it reached orbit, it let Galileo out, and Galileo was sent on its way to Jupiter. One of the astronauts on board the space shuttle Atlantis was Dr. Franklin Chang Diaz. I met him here in Costa Rica at the United Nations Costa Rica workshop on human space technology. Now, the attendees of this workshop were from all over the world. All over the world. But the language that all the presentations were given in was in English. So I also want to, in addition to holding on to your language, I want to congratulate you on learning English, thanks to Mr. Pedro Morales. Because English, that is the spoken language of science and technology. So if you want to go into any area of science, any area of technology, knowing English puts you right there. You're ready to rock and roll, okay? English was what the presentations were given in. And again, to show you what I mean, I had the opportunity to represent Costa Rica at the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. I gave a presentation in English. All the presentations at this workshop held in Vienna, Austria, were in English. You had people from Russia, China, Spain, Yugoslavia, Nigeria, Africa, Australia, all over the world. But every presentation, including mine, was given in English. I had the opportunity to go to Nigeria to talk about astronomy to primary and secondary school teachers in Nigeria. My presentations were given in English. For 2 years, I taught physics in English at the Universidad de Costa Rica. Here's me with my students. I taught in English. And the reason why was because the University of Costa Rica recognized the importance of students being able to speak English, to give them the opportunity to go out there in the world and to communicate with other students in English. It's so important that you're learning English. So important. Oh, this one. Just take it. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, and I also had the opportunity, some of you have been to the planetarium. I gave, kind of hard to see it, but I gave presentations at the Planetario, San Jose, Costa Rica, in English. In English. More recently, myself, Mr. Bruce Callow, and one of the teachers from Nigeria, we gave a presentation at the Space Exploration Educators Council. As I'm sure you know, Mr. Morales went there this year, back in February, and he's going again next year. He will take. When we gave our presentation virtually, we weren't physically there because of what was going on with the pandemic, so we gave it over the internet. Mr. Morales had the opportunity to go there in person. I wish I could have went in person, but wasn't able to. But he will tell you, as I will, all the presentations at this conference are given in English, science and technology. You have people from all over the world, but the presentations are given in English. I want to finish by this slide, which for me represents my journey of following my passion, my love, my dream of becoming a scientist. And remember I told you to take you places, following your dream will take you places you never thought you would go? This is me in 8th grade end of our school year field trip to the museum, and I'm leaning over touching the fossil of a Stegosaurus dinosaur. Very similar to me being 7 or 8 years old out in our backyard in Omaha, digging up those dead tree roots and imagining that I had discovered dinosaur fossils, Tyrannosaurus and Pterodactyl. This is when I got my bachelor's degree from Southern University in physics, bachelor's degree in physics. This is when I got my master's degree in physics from Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have these here with me so I can pass them around, but this is my ID at the Marshall Space Flight, the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, when I was a graduate student and I was helping with research on the space shuttle. These two IDs are when I made it to JPL and became a full-time scientist, when I achieved my dream of being a full-time scientist. And by the way, the reason why I wanted to be at JPL so bad, because you might think, well, wow, Marshall Space Shuttle, that's pretty cool. That is. That's space physics. JPL was responsible for such deep space probes as Voyager and Pioneer, which have left our solar system and are somewhere out in interstellar space, right? They've left Voyager and Pioneer, they went from Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and then left out. They're out there somewhere between solar systems. Who knows what they've seen out there? And who knows what has seen them, right? You wonder, has anybody out there seen Voyager or Pioneer flying by their planet? JPL was also responsible for planetary probes, such as Surveyor that went to Venus, and Mariner that went to Mars, way before the current robotic probes, Perseverance and Curiosity. So JPL was where I wanted to be. Okay, this is my very first business card that I got once I became a full-time scientist at JPL. It allowed me to get a business card. You can barely read it. I can pass it around. I have it here. But it says Space Physics and Astrophysics section, and then Galileo Project Science Team. So my dream of becoming a scientist took me from my neighborhood in Omaha, Nebraska, took me to Louisiana, then it took me to Huntsville, Alabama, then it took me to Pasadena, California, and I won't pass this around, but
it's almost an hour.
Earlier, this is actual data that I got back from Galileo, from Jupiter, okay? I sent my command, and remember, it took 45 minutes for a command to get to Galileo. It takes about 30 minutes for a command to get from Earth to Mars for Perseverance and Curiosity, but Jupiter is a lot further out, so it takes 45 minutes. So, if I wanted this measurement to be taken at a certain time by those instruments that I showed you, like say at 10 a.m., I had to send my command 45 minutes earlier than that, okay? 9:15 for my command to get to Jupiter by 10 o'clock. And then it would take another 45 minutes for this data to get back to Earth. So in addition to my love, my passion, once again, Mr. Morales, how do you say follow your dream in Cabécar? Okay, me doing that not only took me to these places on Earth, but because I spoke with the instruments on Galileo and told them to do stuff like this, to send me back data, following my dream, it took me all the way to Jupiter. So follow your dream, follow your passion, never give up, okay? Okay? Follow it. Now, there's a big world out there, but it needs you. It needs your talents, it needs your skills, So you follow your dream. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.